Hello, anatomy. So here we go. This is going to be the second video going over the notes. The main function of this video will be to go over the bottom portion of the diagram and get a little bit further into that. Again, trying to keep these around 5 to 7 minutes at most, so it's not too much at once. I know that might be frustrating, but I don't want to give you too much at once here just because you got other things to do. And today, March 26th, is an absolutely gorgeous day outside. We're going to get some rain coming after this, so you really need to get outside and enjoy this weather. Feel free to post pics of yourself on our classroom of yourself outside enjoying the weather, because that's what we need to do while we've got the beautiful weather. We've been cooped up inside enough. So, all right, so here we go. We're going to jump into the second half. So we've already done this. If you didn't see that or jumped in, this is the second video. So we might have to go to the first video where we did through the esophagus. So the oral cavity through the esophagus. So now here we go where we're going to get the majority of the organs of the digestive system. Just a couple road maps as we go along here. This line right here is pointed to the diaphragm muscle. Okay, right here, the diaphragm muscle attaches to the bottom ribs and is going to help squeeze the chest cavity so that the lungs can be compressed. So as we move down, the esophagus is going to continue coming from here. And there's a lot of stuff that's behind others. So understand that as I go through here. And if you color, you're just going to have to make some decisions, and that's okay. Okay, so the esophagus from our coloring here is coming in here. Now, one thing that's going to be here between the stomach and the esophagus right here is going to be what is called a sphincter. A sphincter is a circular muscle that can close. And that one is going to be the cardiac sphincter. Okay, that's why they say heartburn. That is when acids from the stomach move back up into the esophagus. So heartburn is when your pyloric sphincter is not closed fully. Okay, but that's again the stomach esophagus intersection. So the stomach is the next stop along the trail, and we'll do the accessory organs and stuff probably in another video. So here's our stomach. Okay, so it goes along here. Okay, and into here, okay, and then is behind the liver here. So this right here is our stomach. And again, these items are not inside the stomach. It's a three-dimensional thing. The corn-looking thing or fish-looking thing behind, that is the pancreas, and the spleen is the thing that looks like an ear off to the side, the thing that gave Laura all the trouble. Okay, so that is the stomach outline there. And again, the item here that gave Laura all the trouble here in the background, and again, that's the spleen, okay? Okay. So as we move along our alimentary canal, which is what we're trying to do here, we'll do yellow. The next section here, the small intestine is all folded up. It's actually much larger than the large intestine in terms of length. It's just smaller in diameter. But the small intestine is going to start up here with a short little section I'm doing in yellow, and that section is called the duodenum, or duodenum. Okay, that's the first section where the stomach and the small intestine go together. Okay, and again, here you'll have another sphincter between them, and that one's going to be called the pyloric sphincter. Now, within here, the small intestine curves around a lot, and we'll talk about the three divisions of it here in a moment. But the small intestine is basically all this folded stuff in here. So when it comes to the coloring portion, I'm going to cheat heavily here and just color it in, see? Okay, this is all small intestine, and we'll get to adding segments to this here in a moment, but that is all your small intestine. Okay, make sense? All right, let me erase that so we can actually do the segments. But I just wanted you to see what all was the small intestine. So I'll outline it here. So the small intestine has three segments. Okay, so the first segment, again, called the duodenum. Okay, and we're going to do D, J, I. And I need to color the letters in black here. D for duodenum, which again goes here. Okay, jejunum which is the middle section, okay, is going to be most of the middle, okay? And then the last section, which intersects with the large intestine, is called the ileum. And again, look up the spelling of these things. I don't want to convolute these diagrams too much. So duodenum, jejunum, ileum, the three sections of the small intestine. Now the word small intestine, again, if I highlight this in yellow, okay, again, is this whole structure here, okay, all the little folds and grooves, okay, as I highlight. And again, these markers go over top of things. You guys will be able to color this in much, much better. And if you're coloring and all you've got available at home is markers, just take those, answer the backside first, where you got those questions, and then figure out a way to write them down below or something. Okay, so again, this is the small intestine. Okay, small intestine. Okay, now food will move through the duodenum, jejunum, and ileum, and this is where digestion is occurring. Digestion occurs in the small intestine. Okay, once the food leaves the small intestine and goes to the large intestine, it's fully digested. All nutrients have been pulled out. The large intestine is going to compact the material, okay, and then it's going to turn it into our fecal material. It's going to compact it and try to pull out all the water that it can. Okay, so here in orange, okay, I'm going to outline what is called the large intestine, which will have three segments, okay. Kind of behind there, kind of comes back around here. Okay, so there in orange, okay, is the large intestine. Okay, the large intestine. And there are three segments to the large intestine, excuse me. There's the ascending colon, okay, which is the portion that's going up. Okay, so this is your ascending colon up to here. Okay, and then you're going to have the section that moves across, this one, okay, is your transverse colon. And then the segment that goes down is your descending colon. So you have to add a line in there for the transverse colon, okay? So the descending colon there. So ascending colon, transverse colon, descending colon. Now when we move into this segment right here, okay, this is what's called your sigmoid colon, excuse me. Okay, if you have a sigmoidoscopy, that's what is there. Then down here in this section, this is the rectum. And then the last portion is the anus. Okay. So that covers the alimentary canal, okay, which again is from the oral cavity, then the pharynx, then the esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, and out. So let's look at a couple accessory organs real quick. The largest one here is your liver. Okay, so this is your liver. Okay, this thing right here. Now, under the liver, not shown in this diagram, but I would encourage you to add to it, is the gallbladder. So just underneath the liver is going to be the gallbladder. I'm just going to kind of insert one here. Kind of looks like a fish. It's a little bulb-like material, and it is green. It is actually physically green. Okay, and that's going to dump bile into the small intestine. Okay, and then the only other thing we haven't done yet is the pancreas, which is going to secrete a lot of different digestive juices. And the pancreas is the thing that's kind of background here. It's not inside the stomach, it's behind it. Okay, and again, the whole purpose of this, if you notice, is these two things that are going to secrete digestive juices and materials are right at the beginning of the small intestine, right after the stomach. So they're going to dump in and get into those pretty quickly. Okay? So that would be, I believe, everything in this diagram. Oh, almost forgot. The appendix, little bugger here at the end, typically considered a vestigial organ because we don't really use it for anything that we can think of right now. And is often removed, often a point of infection, okay, because of where it's at. Okay, thought along majority of thought is that it was part of bacterial collection when raw meat is what we ate as opposed to anything cooked. So that's part of that. So again, if you look over these terms, get those in. If you need help with them, this diagram's got a lot of those words that I just talked about. And then this one here has a lot of those things in terms of the duodenum and the jejunum and the ileum, and then the sections of that. So you've got this diagram which goes over a lot of them, has those sort of things, shows you that. You can see the gallbladder in this one, kind of back there in the back. And again, you kind of see the pancreas back there and talks about what they do. And then here is the alimentary canal, kind of stretched out, showing what is going on with it and how long it is. And you can again see that the typical human is about 8 total meters, and of that, 5 to 6 meters of that is small intestine in length. So quite a bit. Again, large intestine is diameter, small intestine is length in terms of how come it's longer with that. All right, so that will get us through that diagram, and then we'll come back and start talking about the mouth and teeth in the next video. All right, so that's it. Later, Vaders.